The news that we knew was coming has happened, and it's such a sad day. President Jimmy Carter has passed away.
Born in 1924.
One of the greats. First president born in a hospital. He was just, in my opinion, and I've heard other people say this, he was too good a person to be a president.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, I mean, a one-term president, but I just think he was a genuinely decent, kind person who wasn't in a position or wanted to make the kind of decisions that a president has to make so often. And I think that's really kind of what hurt him.
Yeah.
But what an incredible human being. We just wanted to run down a little bit about him. If you knew he was president, but you didn't know some of these other things. A reason to celebrate a man who lived a wonderful life.
Made the world a better place.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, he was born October 1924. He was in Plains, Georgia. His father was a farmer and a businessman. He was a farmer. Went on to join the U.S. Navy and was a lieutenant in the Navy for several years.
Nice.
So he served his country, as so many should and do. They established the Carter Center for he and his wife in 1982. He has observed 113 elections in 39 countries since 1989, which is incredible. He created the Department of Energy and established a national policy to address the energy shortage. I mean, you remember this guy was president when people were lined up for gas.
That's right.
And things like that. So
it was 75, 76, somewhere in there, right?
Somewhere in that neighborhood. So he wanted to do something about that.
He was governor of Georgia. He lost the first time he ran, went and ran again, became governor, then went on to become president, which was regardless of which side of the politics you're on, he's a kind man and he tried to do a good job.
Well, he's a champion of human rights.
Yes.
The governments of South Korea, Iran, Argentina, South Africa, Zimbabwe, big champion and all that. And of course, when you think about being a humanitarian, you think about, of course, probably his biggest claim to fame, Habitat for Humanity.
I would say 90% of the new generation know him from that. And I mean, at 90-something years old, out with a hammer, working, building these homes for people. Just a kind man whose legacy is set. He didn't have to be doing those things. And he always answered. He reminds me a lot of Dolly Parton. Those two seem to always have great quotes based in kindness.
In talking about Habitat for Humanity, the Carters and the volunteers that have worked with them have built 157 houses, including Habitat's 100,000th house in Harlem, and then its 100,001st house in Plains, Georgia, their hometown.
Wow.
Think about volunteering. Most of us, we do a few occasionally, and you do a little bit, and every little bit of volunteering is important. But to have devoted your life to something like this and have been a part of something so huge, what incredible people.
We were lucky enough to have the president on our show once. He had a book of poetry out.
On the line with us this morning, President Jimmy Carter.
Hello, how you doing? I began writing poems when I was just a young naval officer. About 6 years ago, I got really serious about it, and then I finally got up the nerve to submit one of my poems to a magazine, and they turned it down.
Oh, goodness.
Later, they began to accept the poems, not knowing that I was a former president. I had some tough criticism.
If you get a bad review or whatever, you ever just tempted to send the Secret Service out to him?
Well, they weren't nearly as bad reviews as I got from some of the political commentators in the White House. So I've got a tough skin about criticism.
It's just incredible to hear his voice like that.
Mm-hmm.
He actually won his third Grammy in 2019 in the Best Spoken Word Album category.
Grammy winner.
Yeah, for an audio, and that was his third Grammy. His book version of Faith, A Journey for All. In 2015, is when he first was diagnosed. He had a small mass removed from his liver, and then they announced shortly thereafter that he knew then he had cancer. And from that point, little by little, things started coming apart. And if you have someone in your family who had cancer, I think most of us have seen that, that's generally what happens.
Yes.
And, it's just such a sad thing to lose someone so great. I don't think he'll be remembered as one of our greatest presidents because, again, he had so many challenges against him. When the Iran thing happened with the hostages, they ultimately said, we'll release them as soon as he's not president anymore.
Yeah.
It was this crazy thing.
I think he'll be remembered as a great man, though.
Without question. And I think that's more important. At the end, I think it's much more important to Jimmy Carter that his legacy will be, I was a good human being, I was kind to people, I did good things for people, and he certainly did that. If you try to argue that, frankly, I think you're way off base, and I think you need to do a little studying of your own of the Jimmy Carter history in this country. But one of the greats, and certainly will be missed. I think humanity will miss him as much as anyone in the past 20 years.
Thank you, Jimmy Carter.